Welcome to Your Need to Know. I'm your host, Catherine Reed, and joining me today are the co-founders of Two Unstoppable, Ilana Gamerman and Michelle Stravitz. Thank you both so much for being here.
Glad to be here.
So I can't even remember now how I found out about you, but you have put together a very interesting organization that really works to help people, women who have been diagnosed with cancer, to use exercise as part of their healthcare regimen. It's an interesting concept, it's an interesting organization, but there has to be a founding story, and so I'd like to start with that, if you'd like to start with that, Michelle.
Sure. Well, Two Unstoppable, as you said, is all about encouraging and supporting women to exercise after a cancer diagnosis. When I was going through my treatment about 4 years ago, my oncologist was really clear with me. She told me that the more I moved, the less fatigued I'd be. And that was counterintuitive. So that was sort of a starting point, but I took her words to heart and I tried to move as much as I could during treatment. So I learned a lot about how movement and exercise, whatever I could do, helped me get through the process and also helped to mitigate side effects. That was my personal story. When I finished treatment, I also attended a lot of seminars, watched some webinars on various topics related to survivorship. So it might have been about chemo brain, it might have been about nutrition, it might have been about the emotional well-being of survivorship and how difficult that can be. And you know that in every single one of them, they recommended exercise. So I began to realize how important exercise really was for the cancer patient and the cancer survivor.
So Ilana, how did you come to this same conclusion?
Well, my breast cancer was about 7.5 years ago, and there's nothing that can prepare you to hear those words. You have cancer, and I think we all go into our own coping mechanisms when we get bad news. And for me, my coping was exercise. Exercise has been part of my lifestyle or part of my routine for a long time. So when I got diagnosed with cancer, maintaining that routine just helped me deal with that whole emotional roller coaster of having a cancer diagnosis. It was my way of dealing with the worry and the angst and the stress that came along with the whole continuum of a cancer diagnosis.
So that had been your pattern all along, was to exercise.
Yes.
But now, Michelle, this was not necessarily something that was part of your lifestyle up to that point.
So I always say that fitness was in and out of my life, throughout my life. There were times when I exercised, there were times when I did less of that. But during treatment was when I became more aware of how important it would be for me. And actually during treatment, Ilana and I had been friends for a long time, and she told me about her history with breast cancer. And so there were times when she actually came to my house and walked with me. She asked, what can I do for you? And I said, well, come walk with me. I don't want to walk alone. So we would walk and we would talk. She was able to share with me some stories about, what is it like to have surgery and what is it like to have radiation. And that was really helpful. So there's that emotional support that comes along with walking together. And so that was actually our personal experience with both trying to get moving during treatment, but also that emotional and social support of doing it together with a buddy.
And so you've just described the tenet, the mantra, the core mission of your organization.
That's right.
And people that have dealt with cancer firsthand often want to give back to the cancer community. And it's that whole concept of taking a negative and turning it into a positive. And that's really what happened. We both, during our treatment, really valued exercise. We knew how important it was. Michelle heard it from her physician. My doctor said, just keep doing what you're doing. And through that, we also now want to help other women, first of all, learn about the importance of exercise and also have better quality of life, better outcomes through exercise. And you just can't discount that social support that you get from talking and connecting and supporting, another woman both ways who had a cancer diagnosis. I helped Michelle during her treatment, and in retrospect, she helped me process my breast cancer journey, because I pretty much, you know, it was my close family and, you know, my exercise that kind of helped me through it. So I didn't really share too much, but I was happy to help a friend out. And then we just talked, connected, and that was, you know, very therapeutic for me too.
You know, you bring up something really important, which is most people rely on their family, but there's, you know, nobody goes through a cancer diagnosis alone. It's your husband, it's your children, it's your parents too.
That's right.
So having a buddy,
That's right.
share different things in different ways.
Right. So I always say, first of all, you can never have too much support when you're going through cancer. There's all different ways to support people, and there's almost never too much support. And as Ilana said, nobody really gets it like someone who's either going through it or has been through it. So the concept that we started with Two Unstoppable, once we decided that we wanted to start an organization that would help encourage and support exercise and share that message that many people are not aware of how important exercise can be, and frankly how helpful it can be, was to come up with this buddy system. So Two Unstoppable offers a free online matching program where women can sign up and find a fitness buddy to either physically exercise or walk with, or virtually encourage each other to exercise. So that's kind of at the core of what we have, and that's why we're called Two Unstoppable, because we're buddying women up for fitness.
Right. That's
right.
fantastic. Well, that explains, like, I'm like, Two Unstoppable, because there's two people in the fight.
That's right. That's
So
right.
so how do you manage doing the matches? I mean, how complicated is that?
So it's really a lot like a Match.com, okay, or another dating service. Women go in and fill out a profile. They put in some information about themselves. It's whatever they choose to share, but they're asked some questions, a little bit about their diagnosis, about maybe their age, what kind of fitness they like, what are they looking for, what are their goals. So there's a little bit of information they put in about themselves, and hopefully they include a picture. And then once they've signed up, they can browse and look for other women that have signed up and try to find someone that seems to meet whatever criteria are important to them. So some women are looking for someone in their zip code. Some women are looking for someone with kids the same age as them. Some are looking for, you know, a similar diagnosis. It's whatever criteria are important to them, and they can find their own buddy. So we're not necessarily matching them up. They're finding their own matches.
So you've created a platform.
Right.
into them.
Exactly.
Yeah, so people can come together. So how long have you been doing this, and how do you find your volunteers?
The volunteers, that's a good question. We're looking for more all the time. But you know, we get the word out. You know, we are, you know, everywhere trying to, you know, educate and let other women know that we are, you know, what Two Unstoppable is, so they can go ahead and, you know, find us and get online and sign up and hopefully find that buddy or that support system through Two Unstoppable.
We are on social media.
Yeah.
We're on Facebook, Two Unstoppable.
Twitter,
We're on
Instagram.
Twitter. We're on Instagram.
Have a website?
Of course, we have our website that people can find. We also share informational materials at a lot of physician offices and
that's smart.
cancer support centers. We partner with cancer support centers. We also provide educational programs, so any cancer support center, hospital, physician's office can find us online and request. We'll come out and do a 1-hour program and just talk about the importance of exercise, and not only the importance of it, but how accessible it is. And then on our website, we provide a couple of other things besides just this matching platform. So that's the starting point of what we do, but also we kind of say we provide a trifecta of services. So our website has the matching program. We also have a whole section with lots of resources. So even if you're not looking for a buddy, you might be looking for tips on how to exercise. You might be looking for videos on appropriate exercises after a breast cancer surgery or appropriate exercises during chemotherapy. So there are videos like that on our website. We have articles and all kinds of information about how to find an appropriately certified fitness trainer to work with if that's what you're looking for, or how to find a class that's specifically designed for the oncology or cancer population. So we have a lot of information to help support a woman to find the right way to exercise for them. Because really the best exercise for you is the one that you'll do.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know,
I keep
it's
talking a
choice.
good game about, I'm like, I tell my husband, I'm going to take up yoga. And he's like, how long have you been talking about that? A long time, and I'm still talking about it. But you're right. The best exercise is the one you're actually going to follow through with.
Right.
That's right. And frankly, Ilana and I are different. We have different relationships with fitness. We have different types of fitness that we like, different types of movement that we each choose, and that's okay. That's because there are so many ways to get your body moving. You can just take a walk. You can go belly dancing. You can be gardening. Even vacuuming is a form of physical activity.
True, but
It's
who
a
would
way to
choose
get your
that
body
as their
moving.
number one form?
I mean, that's really what we try and do as well, is try and sort of take away the stereotype of what is exercise. And today it's really about moving. And a lot of times when we talk to women, they're almost like relieved to hear that, if I could just walk 5 minutes today. And we say, well, that's great. And that's really good enough if that's what you can do today. Because it's really about moving. So it's going, up and down the stairs. It's finding 5 minutes maybe, a couple of times a day. And all of a sudden you've accrued that, 30 minutes of exercise.
It's interesting too, because Fitbits, and a lot of people wear a Fitbit, you can set it, or it will come up and say, you haven't moved in an hour, or you need to take 250 steps. Because I keep getting messages all the time. It's like, get up and move, or you get up and do 250 steps, or something like that. So those kind of things have to be a little bit helpful. Again, if somebody's into that, everybody's
has their
different.
own.
That's right. Everybody's different, but there is a expression these days, sedentary is the new smoking.
Yes, I've heard that.
Just reduce your sedentary behavior, whatever that means for you.
When we're talking about exercise as, a way of working through treatment, but it's also, we discussed before the show even started, that it's a great preventative measure.
That's right. So the American Institute for Cancer Research did a lot of studies and basically determined that exercise reduces a person's risk of 13 different types of cancers. Breast cancer is at the top of that list in terms of the statistical significance, but 13 different types of cancers reduce risk. That's pretty significant.
It is, and I think we can say, and of course, Ilana, you were like, exercise has been part of your life.
Right.
So for people who already have it as part of their lifestyle, that's wonderful. For people who are now looking at the benefits, both while they're healthy and while they are recovering from treatment, this becomes more important.
Yeah, exercise, there's such a strong connection between exercise and cancer, and that's one of the big things we try and do is educate that there is such a strong connection. There's literally hundreds of studies that show.
And I want to hear about that when we come back from this break. So please join us after this break when we are talking to the two founders of Two Unstoppable.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
I dare you. I dare you to change the world. Yeah, you. Getting that college education.
I dare you to be somebody important.
Like be a teacher. Or a reality TV star.
I dare you to stand up here.
To call the shots.
To be a role model.
An inspiration. An innovator.
To be a teacher.
Think you can change my life?
Make me excited about science like you.
Have a career that really means something?
Then do it.
I dare you.
Welcome back to Your Need to Know. I'm your host, Catherine Reed, and today I am talking with the two co-founders of Two Unstoppable. Ilana Gamerman and Michelle Stravitz. Again, ladies, thank you so much for being here. This has been a fascinating discussion. We were talking about the trifecta of the things that you provide, and one of the major components is community, bringing people together. Elaborate a little bit about how you do that kind of community development.
So at Two Unstoppable, that third part of the trifecta community is really about local area events in the Washington, D.C. area, in Virginia, in Maryland. We try to bring women together to actually try different modalities of exercise. So occasionally we'll do a new fun type of exercise and just have a free event where people can try it out. So we've done pickleball. We've tried yoga classes. We've had cancer exercise specialists provide free fitness assessments to figure out, where are some of our weaknesses and what can we work on. So we've had those kinds of fitness events that we bring women together to just try something out. And then we now have, actually on a regular basis, monthly walk and talks. So we have one in Virginia every month and one in DC every month. We get women together at a public place, either a park, a trail, sometimes it's an indoor track. We've even done walks in the mall. And the idea is to get women who have had a cancer diagnosis, any woman, anytime, any cancer, together to walk and talk, get moving together, and again, support one another.
That's amazing. So you've got one coming up this month in November.
Yeah, we're going to be at Meadowlark Gardens. So it's a really very popular place, and we already have a lot of women who have RSVP'd for that because it's just a beautiful park. It'll be, November, beautiful weather. And the walk-in talks are really magical. We have two ladies that come always from Maryland, and
Wow.
they come all the way
To Virginia.
to walk, connect, and support each other. So it's the exercise, which is great, and then the social support even after, when we sit down over coffee, over a couple of snacks, and just continue the conversation. So it's really one of the fun things we do to bring another opportunity to bring women together. And sometimes that's their opportunity to find a buddy too. If they don't go online, maybe to find their buddy, they may connect with each other at a walk and talk and continue to get together on their own after. So that's been really nice.
And the fact too that, you find a different kind of support. Again, the conversations you have with someone else with a diagnosis is different from a conversation you might have with your family, who's asking how you're doing and how you are, and there just is a different relationship.
Yes. I mean, there's nobody who gets it like someone who's either going through it or who's been through it. And we have been actually amazed at the magic that Ilana referred to that happens at these walk and talks, and how women who have sometimes never met each other just start walking, just start talking, and really sharing stories, sharing concerns, sharing successes. And they're doing that while they're moving. We usually walk about 45 minutes. It's approximately 2 miles. We go at a gentle pace. People kind of walk at whatever pace works for them. So we walk in pairs or in threes or in groups, and we find it to be just an incredible experience. And they've built up. We partner with a couple of cancer support organizations to host these, and it's just been really nice. So it is about the movement, but it's also about the social support.
So one of the things when you're talking about the resources on your website, like the videos, there is a lot of research and medical evidence, and there's a lot of science that's gone into figuring out the best form of exercise. Again, it's personal preference, it's tolerance, it's where you are physically in your treatment or post-treatment. So talk a little bit about, how you're gathering this information and the impact that it's having.
Well, there is hundreds of studies that show real tangible benefits for patients with many different types of cancers who exercise. People who exercise have fewer and less severe side effects. They have reduced recurrence rates. They have increased survival rates. Helps them deal with all aspects of their treatment, again, across the cancer continuum. After treatment is over, you're still dealing with a host of potentially chronic side effects from your cancer treatment. And with almost every type of side effect, exercise can help combat that. So if you're fatigued, exercise is actually the #1 treatment for that. To help you sleep, all the emotional aspects of a cancer diagnosis, stress, anxiety, worry, depression, exercise can help with that. And besides even that, it's fascinating, all the, the things that we don't think about, the physiological stuff that happens in our bodies when we exercise. When we exercise, our body has this orchestrated response that involves your heart, your lungs, everything is kind of working together. And what the literature is saying, that all of that is actually making for a less friendly environment for cancer to grow. So we often think of exercise because I want to lose a few pounds, and if I exercise more, I can eat more, or things like that. But there really is such a strong connection that they're even looking at how exercise helps with chemo and the efficacy of chemo treatment, because once you exercise, and they've done studies, and you go into chemo, it actually helps the chemo get into the tumor better. So there's so much studies going on now, even to figure out more specifically how to prescribe exercise. So it's individual in the sense to the type of cancer you have, where you are, what kind of stage of cancer. So the science, in a sense, now is not trying to prove does exercise. We know exercise works. So now it's really trying to hone in on that and saying, how can we best prescribe it? What amount? What type of exercise can people do so they have the best outcomes? But aside all of that, it's just important to move. So without all the technical stuff, or just move is really the most important message.
If you walk away with one thought from this, look, everyone knows exercise is good for us. It's not news to us that exercise is good. So yes, exercise is good. We should all do it more, but especially if we've had a cancer diagnosis. That's really the message, is that of course it's good for everyone, but it's especially important if you've had a cancer diagnosis, because you are trying to make sure that your treatment is as effective as possible. We're all trying to improve our outcomes and maximize the benefits. And then many people who go through cancer treatment have a whole host of side effects that they're trying to combat. And the truth is that if you can combat the side effects, you can tolerate the treatment better, and many people can finish their treatment. You don't want to have to stop treatment prematurely. So exercise is good, especially if you've had a cancer diagnosis.
What I think is really interesting about this too, and the way you've kind of designed this, is most people would not exercise by themselves. At least it's been my personal experience. When I had a dog, I walk my dog all the time, right? So every day, because the dog is like, yeah, gotta go. So I never walked alone. I always walked every day with my dog for many, many, many years. So the fact that somebody goes, I know I should exercise and I know it will help me, but you've kind of wrapped it up into, but do it with a group, or do it with a buddy. Wrap something else around it that's not just that I know I'm going to do it because accountability, someone's waiting for me to show up and do it with them.
Motivation, support, accountability. And again, if you also, peruse the internet and, what are some strategies to exercise? Everybody's going to say, find a support system, find an exercise buddy to help you.
Social support is always on the list, whether it's a group that you exercise with, a buddy that you exercise with, some sort of partner, some sort of class. Almost every list about getting into fitness and sticking with it. It's not just about starting, it's about sticking with it in the long haul. This is a lifetime lifestyle behavior that you're trying to change and incorporate into your life. It's not just about moving for a few days. So in order to keep it up, often a buddy is a key component of that. And that's part of why we incorporated that in. Again, it's that accountability, the support, and the motivation.
And so I know you try to mix it up. It seems to me on your website, and by the way, people need to go to your website to figure out your events and the materials and the video, all the information you've accumulated there. But it seems to me I saw something about rowing that you did once.
So yeah,
I'm thinking, I'm like, I would like to do that. Like, I've never done that before, so.
So rowing is actually one of the sports that's been introduced for women who have had, in particular, breast cancer, because there's a lot of upper body mobility issues that they can work on. And so it's a popular type of sport. There's rowing, and then there's also dragon boating groups that have been actually formed specifically for breast cancer survivors.
Yeah, and I actually took part in one. So We Can Row DC is an organization out of here in DC, and it's all breast cancer survivors, and they get a group of women together every May to kind of teach them about the sport and kind of get them, in a sense, a little wet with what does that mean. But again, it's the basis of almost like Two Unstoppable. It's bringing a group of women together over shared experiences for exercise. So it's exercise and a support system all built in one.
There are some people who will not choose to participate in a support group, right? It's not for me. And that's a personal choice. But often they'll go to an exercise group or an exercise class or a rowing group, and they'll exercise together, and in effect, that becomes a support group.
Absolutely, because a lot of times people think a support group is sitting around in a circle, you know, whatever, and what you're offering is support in a different way, which to me, I think and again, everybody's different, and we should really talk about the fact that, you know, a lot of awkwardness comes about when people are not the one who's been diagnosed with cancer. So my mother died of cancer, and my cousin, and so it's hard to know what to say, and a lot of people don't say anything because they don't know what to say. But, you know, I think by having shows like this, talking about what you've done, how you're trying to bring a community together, we need to like stop thinking that we can't talk about cancer, we can't address it. But we also have to be very cognizant of the individual and how much someone wants to talk about it or not.
Right.
So your point about the support group and what you offer instead of something traditional that people are like, that's not for me, I don't do support groups. This to me is amazing. It's just such a win-win.
Thank you. In fact, exercise is just as personal, right? So what one person chooses to do to move and what another chooses to do to move could be quite different, and yet they can be just as beneficial for that person. So it is a very individualized thing.
Well, I think the two of you have really kind of helped us understand what the options are, and the fact that, you know, I can't believe it's Maryland, DC, and Virginia. I mean, you cover an enormous territory to be two women who had an idea. So I want to thank both of you, Ilana and Michelle. This has been eye-opening. I hope it's really motivated the people at home, and this is what you need to know.